When a lot of people talk about automating, they talk about automating everything in your business that you possibly can. Now, there is a simple formula to deciding if you should automate something. We're going to cover that in this video because there is a trap that a lot of entrepreneurs fall into, and that's automating the wrong things first. In order to know if you should automate something, we're going to cover a basic formula and then ask a few questions that will allow you to decide whether or not a task is worth automating inside of your business. Now, the first thing before we get into the formula, the first thing that you need to ask yourself is this a revenue generating task? So what we want to find out is, can we eliminate the task that we're looking at? So first question is it a revenue generating task? If the answer is yes, okay, we want to move on and we want to see, can we automate it and should we automate it? If it is not a revenue generating task, the next thing you need to ask yourself is it a necessary task? If the task is not revenue generating and it is not necessary, then that's a good candidate for elimination. We want to remove those tasks from your business. So after we've decided that it is a revenue generating task or it is a necessary or both, then we want to move into asking, should we automate it? So in order to figure out if we should automate it, this formula is a very simple formula that we want to follow every single time. The formula goes like this. It's the automation cost divided by the monthly savings equals the months to break even. If that number is less than 12 months, then we know that it will allow us to break even in under 12 months, and it might be a good candidate for automating. So step by step, how do we calculate this? The very first thing is we want to calculate our monthly manual cost to do a task. So the hours per month times the hourly rate that you pay for that task to be completed, or you pay yourself, whatever your value per hour is. If you're not sure what value per hour is, let me know down in the comments below. I can do a separate video on value per hour, so that way you're fully aware of it. Number two, after we've calculated our monthly manual cost, we want to figure out our net monthly savings. So what's the manual cost minus the maintenance cost? What will the maintenance cost be to keep up maintenance on that automation? Are you paying somebody to do it? Are you doing it yourself? If you're doing it yourself, how much are you paying yourself per hour? What is your value per hour that you're paying yourself in your business in order to do tasks? Because automations do require maintenance. You've got to keep up on the automations in case things change. You've got to make sure that you're going through the automations to make sure that nothing breaks. These are things that require at least a weekly touch base or a monthly touch base that you can do inside of your business, but it is proper to do a weekly or monthly touch base with your automations to make sure that they are not broken. Of course, you want to set up notifications as well for your automations to make sure that you do get notified if something does break or something fails. The next step is the total investment. What's the build cost for the automation? Are you outsourcing it? Are you paying yourself to do this? Or are you paying somebody else inside of your business to automate it? What is that build cost plus the first year's maintenance cost to do this automation for this task? And then lastly, what's our break even point? We take our total investment and we divide it by our net monthly savings in order to figure out what the break even months are. So to give you an example of this, let's take a look at a real example of time spent on a task, 4 hours a month. The rate is $75 an hour that you pay yourself. The build cost is $2,000, which includes the $50 a month maintenance cost. The monthly manual cost is $300 to do the task. The net monthly savings then is $250. It's going to take 8 months for us to break even on the back end of things from running that automation. So next you want to ask yourself, should you automate it? So yes, it can be automated. Yes, you can save money doing it. This all makes sense, but there's some other questions to ask yourself. First of all, is break even under 12 months? If it is under 12 months, wonderful. Next question to ask yourself, is it highly repetitive and error prone? So is this task going to be a repetitive task and it's error prone? If so, then it's a good candidate for automation. And then lastly, does it block higher value work? So if it blocks you from doing higher value work, things that will actually bring more money into the business, then it's a good candidate for automation. You want to think twice if the break even exceeds 24 months, if processes change frequently, because you're going to constantly be changing that automation if the process changes frequently, and if it should be eliminated, not automated. Again, that's why I said ask yourself first, can we eliminate this task, by asking, is it revenue generating? And then lastly, if it's not revenue generating, is it necessary in the business? Now, don't automate if it requires nuanced judgment by a human being, and if it happens rarely, because it's going to take you forever to break even if it does happen rarely. And if it's more complex than the task itself to automate it, it's probably not a good candidate for automation. So there are some hidden multipliers that you want to be aware of when it comes to automation. First is error costs. Manual mistakes means reworking, reputation damage, and compounding costs. Opportunity costs. What higher value work could you be doing with those freed hours? This is a big thing. If you can free up that time, if it makes sense, if it meets all the check marks, let's do it, because it's not going to just be that break even cost. We're going to have multipliers here where it's going to be 2 to 3 times the benefit by actually automating the task. Next is scalability. Automation cost stays flat when the volume 10x's, manual cost does not. And then sanity value. Tedious tasks drain energy well beyond the hours that they consume for you. Lastly, like I said, the real ROI in automation is 2 to 3x once you account for what it is that you do and the time that you reclaim. So you're always going to want to use this equation to figure out, is it worth automating, and ask those questions first to see, can you eliminate a task altogether? If you can eliminate it, eliminate it. If not, if it is required, if it is necessary for your business, make sure it checks all the boxes, make sure it meets that equation and the break even points that we talked about. If you've got any questions, let me know down in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to help you out with this formula.